So what do we have here? Apparently it's a new toy, but this video is not about this. I got another package from Japan. In that package I got something else. This is a Famicom. And now there's not much I can say about the Famicom that hasn't been said a million fucking times before on the internet. But I guess I'd like to go over some of the little minutiae of operating one, I guess. Also I got, well, besides a shit ton of games, we got a Super Famicom. Although I'm not going to make a video about this one because there's not really much about it to be said, except that you can get Chrono Trigger for about $3 or $4, which is pretty nice for the aspiring Nihongo reader, such as myself, but otherwise it's just a Super Nintendo. Yeah, Kirby's cool. So is Street Fighter 2. Got some cool games. So why would it be that I would want to make a video on a Famicom? Because everybody knows what a Famicom is. There's a million videos on the Famicom on the internet, but I guess I'll just go over some of the weird quirks that I've came across in the past couple days of playing games on it after I got it. I haven't really touched the computer yet. We'll get into that later. But I find that a lot of the issues I have with loading up games on the old NES, the old front loader, kind of carry over to this. It's not really much different. I mean, I guess that's just kind of the result of having two data and address buses on your edge connector. So there's a lot of pins to be disconnecting and wiggling around in there, so most of the time you'll have to move the cartridge around, and I guess that's also why blowing in the cartridge is a thing that Japanese people even did, as witnessed in Game Center CX. The opening of that, they were blowing in the cartridges every time they fired up a Famicom. You had Arino blowing in the cartridge because that makes the connection better. Another oddity that I find with this is that some games don't like being in certain spots in the edge connector. So if I put this game in here, this is, the best game ever. So if I put the game in here, you can see that it has like a little wiggle room left and right? So some games like to be loaded on the left. Some games seem to like to be loaded on the right. And it really depends on the game and testing. I wonder if that has anything to do with the wear on the pins themselves after being inserted and reinserted a million times. But yeah, I don't know. And it's not really a matter of the cleanliness of my games, because I did already go through every single one of these with the cotton swab and isopropyl alcohol. And I already washed the entirety of the Famicom inside and out with the faucet. And I also took a credit card with a paper towel soaked in isopropyl and cleaned up all the edge connector, which is in here. So, I mean, that's just kind of the nature of playing with an NES. You don't really get the same kind of issues with like a Super Nintendo or a Genesis, at least in my experience. You just freaking slap a card in those and they just kind of go. So I'm going to fire this thing up and we'll see what it does. I got my PC98's transformer here for downstepping the voltage down to 100 volts, which is handy because, this power adapter for it is, designed to be used on 100 volts AC, and we'll convert it down to 10 volts or so DC. This does have the rectifier built into it, unlike the NES, which just has a transformer in the power brick and has the rectifier on the NES itself. So you do not want to put AC on a Famicom. You don't want to plug in the NES's power brick to this thing. It would be particularly unhappy. So I'm going to tune to channel 6. Whoop. And yes, channel 6, not channel 95. Channel 95 is the channel you would go to for Japanese channel 1 if you haven't already fucked with your Famicom. However, you can adjust some coils inside of the RF modulator. I can show you that later because I have to go in there and adjust a little bit more again because I got some jail bars. But you can adjust it from 95 to channel 6 because on the RF spectrum, channel 6 is right next to channel 95. Let's turn it on. Wow, it actually worked the first time. That's interesting. It's not usually that happens, but yeah, I got hooked up to my stereo, so. But yeah, here's the greatest game known to man. The one that I paid the most money for as an individual cartridge. I paid 20 bucks for Hoshio Murukito, but that's because this game is fascinating. It is fascinatingly bad. It is the legendary shit game. So, of course, you start in the oh shit. Okay, I'm gonna die immediately. I'm not gonna do that. But you start right next to nothing, or so it seems. But the first town is right next to you. But yeah, this game is just like the worst JRPG on the Famicom ever, but I find it really fascinating. It's almost like a missed opportunity. It seems like it had some ideas and they were just not executed well. Maybe the developers were in over their heads or something, but the music's actually kind of cool though. But yeah, this thing is really just a Nintendo, except minus, you know, the microphone here on the second port if I turn this up. Whoa, that's some feedback there. Let's not do that. Yeah, that's picking up the speakers from my stereo here. But yeah, you say stuff into the microphone, it comes out of the TV, which can cause some crazy feedback. You always hear about how small the Famicom is, but you never really quite realize just how small it is until you see it in person. I mean, you could probably fit two Famicoms inside of an NES here, and even the cartridges. Well, this thing is just a whole bunch of empty space. Like from here up on an NES card, it's just all empty shit. But everything is just fucking tiny. Even the controllers are smaller. They're actually thinner. It's also kind of weird that the cord comes out the side, but if you hold your fingers up to the top, it really doesn't bother you so much. So this is obviously the internals of the Famicom, which I've already had apart like 6 times. So when I first got it, I was able to tune to channel 95 on my prison TV. However, when I first turned the game on, let's just say we have a local country music FM radio channel around here. And channel 95, the audio carrier is right in the middle of FM band radio frequencies, so you start hearing things that you're not supposed to unless this is tuned very specifically into the channel 95 that this thing is supposed to be receiving, and not, you know, the channel 1 that Japanese televisions are supposed to be receiving. So I heard a lot of this. But anyway, I originally heard about this from a channel called Displaced Gamers on YouTube, about how to adjust this thing to make it so it will, you can fine-tune the RF output to the right frequencies, and even modify it so it will go down to channel 6. So you got 3, at least on this model of Famicom here. This is the CPU 7. I don't think the latest version has all the right coils inside of here. These are not potentiometers, they are coils. And so the green one here is for setting the carrier frequency for the video on channel 1 mode. So you want to adjust that until it starts coming in on channel 6. So I think what I did, I might have turned it clockwise, I think, and then this one I think I adjusted clockwise as well. This one right here is for the audio frequency. So if I turn this on, 1 minute. Alright, now that I got it turned on, got the Densetsu no Kosoge in there. So I used a small Phillips screwdriver. Now this is not the right driver for this. You're supposed to use like an anti-static adjustment tool, and those are not, you know, Phillips or flathead screwdriver heads, but you can get enough grab with this to adjust it. So if I take the audio carrier frequency coil here and start adjusting on it, you can hear it start to go out. But I don't think, where I got it for channel 6, it's not going to show up any radio channels right now. Let me tune this back in. So you want to tune it into where it's the clearest. That's not. Yeah, you want to, when you're using a metal screwdriver like this, as soon as you touch the core and the coil, you will alter the frequency just a slight bit. So you want to make your adjustments and then pull the screwdriver out to make sure that's where you want it to sit. But yeah, that sounds pretty good right there. You can also adjust this green one for the video. This is what that looks like. Uh-oh. Oh, that's just not... That's the wrong way. But you can see it kind of blurring out, blooming out. This TV has like an automatic cutout, so where if it goes... If you don't have a valid sync signal, I'm pretty sure, it will block out the video to, you know, prevent a bunch of static. But if you use an image that's full of information such as this, you can use it to kind of fine-tune, like, the pixels, I guess. Whoa. It's too far. It might be okay. Now let me check a different game so that I know I don't have any jail bars anymore, because I was having some jail bars on Challenger, I think. As you can see, there's some slight jail bars going on here, but I think that's might be just the an intrinsic feature of the output from this thing. I can adjust the pot or the coil back and forth, and it just makes it a little bit fuzzier and whatnot, and the jail bars don't quite go away. And I think that's pretty darn okay where it's at. I think all the little sparklies on here is just something that this TV does. I don't think any other RF signal on any other TV, such as my Zenith over there, does that. I think it's only just this Prism TV, so whatever. So yeah, I think the video signal is pretty darn good, even, you know, just on channel 6. It's a little bit tweakified and not quite correct, but it lines up pretty good and it makes a good picture, and that's good enough. I was originally wanting to do like a composite mod because I thought I'd have to tune into channel 95, which I have enough TVs that can tune into channel 95. It's just I'd want it to be a little more convenient, but channel 6 is convenient enough, so I can, you know, tune into it on the old Zenith honker over there. But yeah, that's just a Famicom. There are some other older revisions of the hardware, which I've seen have like little metal like heatsink plates or whatever for the CPU. Actually, I don't know which one's the CPU. Which one's the CPU? Which one's the PPU? Oh, this is the CPU, that's the PPU. Duh, it says so on the board. But yeah, it's a pretty cool little console. Another thing I did to it was I replaced the filter capacitor for the voltage regulator here, so the DC would be a little more clean. Those like to bulge, I think. I've seen on the video from Displaced Gamers that his filter cap was bulging. Mine wasn't bulging, but when I first got it, I was having trouble getting games to read and stuff, so maybe I was thinking that there was some AC ripple going on in the DC for this, so it was causing the chips to freak out, but I did it anyway. The rest of the caps are original, I think, but what is that? I'm not sure what that pot does. Is that like a clock trimmer? I don't know. But yeah, it's a Famicom. It's a Nintendo. It's a small Nintendo, and it's kind of cool. I think I might want to get myself some more games for it. It's kind of nice. This one's weird. This one requires a specific Mahjong controller, and I'm not able to play this game at all, so it's kind of interesting. Oh, yeah. See, this is like the reason why I wanted to get one of these, like stuff like Binary Land and Challenger and Nuts and Milk. These games were not released in the US, and it kind of like shows the previous history before the NES is a thing of this hardware, and it's kind of interesting to go back and play those very simple games, and also games like this, which are absolutely fascinatingly bad. Like most like horrible games you would get on like a Nintendo console, you're just like, I'm gonna avoid playing those. But I don't know, I think I might try to actually play this one legitimately just because of how weird it is. I don't know, it's oddly fascinating to me. But yeah, that is a Famicom.